Okay, we are recording and ready to go.
As Matthew McConaughey said in The Wolf of Wall Street, let's fuck. Here we go.
I love it. I love it. uh, how do you want to intro this?
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
It is 9:36 St. Louis time, and welcome to the first ever edition of Mitch'n and Mauck'n. Before we get started, we have to throw out the legalities. The views expressed here are those of myself and Tyrell and do not reflect the opinion of our employers, and nor is this opinion probably going to be correct. The views expressed are ours and ours only, and are for entertainment and informational purposes only. The first episode here of Mitch'n and Mauck'n, who are we? We are Cardinals fans, kind of grew up in central Missouri, huge MLB fans. Personally, my first baseball memory was 1987, a 5-year-old kid. Tommy Herr, my favorite player of all time for the Cardinals, second baseman, 105 RBIs and 10 home runs one season. My favorite Cardinal team ever was that 2001 team. Mark McGwire's last year, Pujols his first. McGwire's probably my realistically favorite MLB player of all time. Growing up as a kid, we didn't have cable until high school, so we only got the MLB game of the week. And that game was normally the Oakland A's. They were winning pennants in 88, 89, 90, and so we were seeing them on TV every week, and McGwire was hitting bombs. When he got traded to the Cardinals in 1997, probably one of the happiest days of my fanhood, my boyhood. And probably, before I turn it over to Tyrell, my second favorite team was that 2004 team. The fact that they ran into that buzzsaw, the Red Sox, didn't win a World Series is a shame. In fact, fun fact about this group, Tyrell and I were both in the stands together watching Larry Walker's first game in St. Louis. Struck out on 3 pitches and still got a standing ovation. Tyrell, what about you? Why are you a Cardinal fan? Who you like?
That was the craziest game to see somebody strike out and get a standing ovation. It was nuts to watch. I've been a Cardinal fan for just as long as I can remember. I've always I grew up on the Jack Buck, Mike Shannon. I grew up on a farm and listened to tractors and just had the radio on all the time, and I just fell in love with the Cardinals. Favorite player growing up was actually Tom Bernansky. I don't know why. 23 has always been my number. Love Bernansky. Along with Mitch on that, I think the 04 team, that whole run has been I loved that season's Cardinal base. It's never been more fun to watch a team and just be enthralled with seeing them play. And opening the new stadium, I was dating a girl at that time where we actually had stadium club passes and everything to go see the games. So it was awesome to be a part of, and I got to see the home game of 2006 and the ending of the 2006 season 2. I've just awesome. The best game I've ever been to, though, for me, was the Matt Adams game when he cranked that off Kershaw. I've never been in a more electric environment in my life. Just cold chills just now thinking about that home run.
Funny story, 2 years ago, Matt Adams was playing in Kansas City for the Monarchs independent ball. Got to meet him, and that's the first thing I said to him was like, "You own Clayton Kershaw," and he just kind of smiled and then like, "Who are you, dude?" And signed my kid's ball and moved on. It's kind of a funny story.
Underrated player for the Cardinals, honestly. I mean, we have Freeze up in the pantheon up there, but for home runs hit for postseason baseball, Adams is up there.
And if you take away Game 6 of the 2011 World Series, what did David Freese do for this franchise?
Fair.
Average at best.
Yeah. But and I was turned down going to the Cardinals Hall of Fame because he was like, I didn't do enough for this organization.
I agree. And that was probably the right decision.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the Cardinals Hall of Fame at some point because I know we both have some thoughts about that. Batting second today, we're going to do a kind of a lineup every week. We're going to give you 9 topics of the week, kind of stuff that's on our mind. Let's talk the MLB All-Star Game. National League wins the game. American League, great comeback, down 6-0, kind of fought all the way back through. And then we had our first ever swing off, and you and I were kind of texting each other back and forth when the lineup for the swing off were announced. MLB has got a problem, Tyrell. Why don't you go ahead and let our audience know what that problem is?
How can you not have the biggest names in a swing off? Like, there's just no way that you can do that. You want to be the center of attention during this time. The summertime is Major League Baseball time to shine. You want to be front page news. So you have a swing off with no Shohei Ohtani, no Aaron Judge. How are you going to? Eric Screwball is standing there in street clothes. The game has got to be evolve into mainstream. You want to get there. It's the same we were talking about the draft. You got to create some drama. Your drama is right there with your swing off, and you. Now, granted, the Schwarber was just amazing to watch the dude hit 3 bombs like that, and that last one from his knee, otherworldly. As a Cardinal fan, I really can't root for Schwarber, but that's just me. But he has hit some big home runs in his past. But they want to be center of attention, but they don't want to be center of attention at the same time. They're half in, half out.
Oh yeah, you look at the line for the National League. Kyle Sowers, he filled in for Eduardo Suarez, who kind of got tweaked a little bit earlier in the game. That was probably an okay pick. Schwarber, of course, just hit bombs. I think regardless of who was on the roster available at the time, Schwarber was going to be one of the 3 guys. And then he didn't get an AB, but the polar bear, Pete Alonso, probably another solid Derby choice, a 2-time home run Derby winner, I believe. But where's Ohtani? Where's the guy that you're spending all this money marketing to? Where's he at? And then you look at the American League roster, and I love Brett Roker. I think I'm an A's fan again from the 80s. But who? Rainier Rosarina, he loves big moments, decent probably choice there. He only had 1 out. And this is the one that baffles me. When we were going back and forth, it was, who is this dude? He's not even the best player on his own team in the home run derby. Jonathan Aranda went 0 for 3 in swings. And I don't think he even hit 1 on the warning track. Maybe 1 off the wall, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think he hit 1 off the wall.
But you had, where was Aaron Judge? Ohtani versus Judge, must-see TV. You're on the front page of every sports website. People are flipping their channels. You're all over social media. Nowhere to be found. You couldn't even see them when they panned to the crowd.
Yeah. He wasn't standing out there. He was already eating. He was already at dinner. Judge is cutting into a steak. Like, what are we doing?
And it goes back to one of our fundamental discussions we have, that MLB has a marketing problem. They've got stars. They like to tell us, we're old heads now, as the kids say, that the game is better than it's ever been, but you wouldn't know it. You have to have 5 or 6 streaming services, and this is just me as a Cardinal fan talking, to watch every game. 2, they don't promote their stars. They have the entire sports world lights on them for the All-Star game, and the 2 guys who you consider your biggest stars are nowhere to be found. Which will roll us into the top of the 3rd here. Does Major League Baseball have a star power problem?
I think you have a regional star power problem. Baseball is good in regions, but in small pockets. I don't think your national stars are Ohtani and Judge. I don't know if you have anybody outside of that, but you have your little pockets. Like, who's the Cardinals star that they're promoting? Brendan Donovan? I mean, is he?
And I love Brendan Donovan, and we'll talk about more, later in the ball game about utility guys. But Brendan Donovan is not a star.
Yeah, and the Cardinals haven't had a star in years, if you want to get down to that. But it just got a big star problem where now the game is better athletically, but for my opinion, the steroid era is probably the best era to go back to. Just hitting dingers. Chicks dig the long ball was the slogan forever. And now we've gotten back to strikeouts. And it's like the dead ball era all over again, where the pitchers are ruling and the batters. And they made a big deal this year about the torpedo bats. Let the hitters hit. Like, offense is what we want to see in baseball. They have done some changes which have helped out with making the bats bigger or the bases bigger and allowing the no shift. But you're still not seeing the runs that you should be seeing or used to be seeing. It's a really strikeout or home run game anymore. And offense wins. Doubles are the best thing to see. You get back-to-back doubles, there you go.
Yeah, I like back-to-back doubles. Yeah. I like moving the line through. Watch Monday night's home run derby, and then watch the 99 home run derby, considered, in my opinion, the greatest home run derby of all time from Fenway Park, and tell me which one you enjoyed more.
It was well, Berman was doing that one, so I kind of, back. You can't beat him, but 99 was way better. And the sped upness of the home run derby is a kind of a cool aspect. Like, hey, let's get in and get it done, where it's not a 5-hour long thing, but also it's 5 hours of watching guys just hit bombs.
Piss missiles, as the kids like to say. I mean, watching McGuire just shoot ball after ball over the monster for 30 minutes, I mean, that's entertainment.
And everybody's out in the street just screaming, like, we want more. Like, yes, that's what we want. You could see the kids were even in this year's, they're trying to get the balls. Like, everybody's trying to get those balls. Like, they got to bring it back. Get me some stars in the home run derby, too.
And that's the other thing, too, we'll touch about real quick before we run out of outs here. The home run derby itself, again, lacking that star power. Where is your Bryce Harpers? Where's your Mike Trouts? Guys that everybody knows. We kind of went back and forth making our own lineups. But give us, 5 guys that everybody knows, and then a younger guy trying to make a name for himself, taking out the old heads. We even joked that, great, the home run derby's over. King Griffey Jr. was, I think, shooting photos in the dugout. Cool, now you have to face Junior. 1v1. I bet Junior would still win. I think the kid can still swing.
Of course. I mean, if you watch the Matt Holliday still got it. Griffey's still got to have it.
Matt Holliday just hit into a double play to kill a rally while you said that.
Oh, how often was I mad at Matt Holliday rolling into DPs, man? Oh,
at least weekly.
Yes.
At least. Top of the fourth, let's talk about the first half. Not a lot of expectations for the Cardinals coming into this season, especially when the only MLB level free agent you signed is Phil Maton, who should have been an all-star, by the way.
Agreed.
Lots of ebbs and flows, especially the young team. There for about 2-3 weeks, they were the best team in baseball, and now I think they have regressed back to what is considered the median of a game and a half out, I believe, of the wild card as we get ready for the second half tomorrow. Tyrell, give me a couple of highs and a few lows from the first half of the season.
High is your young players. We've over-succeeded. Wynn, Donovan, they've overplayed Maton. I was not expecting somebody. I was expecting the who did we sign? Holiday. That late in the spring training with Maton getting signed late in the spring training. Greg Holland. That's what I was thinking of. Greg Holland. It was I was worried about Greg Holland signing again. Like Maton got late in the season. He's going to not have his best stuff. Guy has been pitching great. I think Libby is a huge high for this team to see him meet his potential finally. Lows, offense, and Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty still being on this roster.
It's almost a war crime at this point.
Yes, it's it's sacrilegious to just, and how you don't DFA a guy who gives up the most home runs in franchise history and let him go out there and pitch next day. Yes, I'm understanding he pitched 5 days later and he threw a good ball game, but I'm kind of over Miles Michaelis at this point, and I have been for a while. I also say another low for me is I want to see what Jordan Walker has. And with the injuries, and he started to get going, the appendicitis, now he's back down in Memphis doing a rehab assignment. Like, he's also regressed on his defense a little bit. I'm rooting for that kid hard, and it's just not coming together. And I feel, here we go with the Cardinals having another powered potential prospect that they're going to crap the bed on.
You look at Jordan Walker, physically, he should have all the tools to be him. He should be the next superstar that this franchise, this organization is seriously lacking. However, he just can't put it together. Same way with Nolan Gorman. How much more time do you give it Nolan Gorman, knowing that bat's got 40 home runs in it from a second base position, but he's only going to hit 220. When you look at spots that they're going to need to upgrade long term, I'm not talking trade deadline. We'll talk about that a lot next week. But just the future, the next 3-4 years, the rest of this decade, even, are Gorman, and Jordan Walker a part of that long term?
I don't.
One of them is
Yeah, one of them
probably,
has to be. Yeah,
but which one? You got an abundance of. I mean, your biggest glutton of talent is in the middle infield right now, especially in the lower minor leagues. And the outfield guys, Baez, Wong, like Chai-Bin Wong, excuse me, and Chase Davis, they're corner guys, but are they going to be more of the same as Jordan Walker?
they haven't developed an outfielder. Like that's what we keep trying. How many times have we churned through these outfielders now? Grichuk, Piscotty, Bader, Grichuk. I mean, we've been through this time and time again, and they just keep falling off, and they keep trading these assets away, and none of them ever really potentially meet what they could be. I lean, and that's one of my hot takes for next week on the trade deadline show is about the middle infield and what you're going to do with that. I mean, what are you going to do with Burleson? You're going to keep trotting him out there? There's just so much of this of roster construction this team needs to really go through that I'm looking forward more to Bloom coming in than I've ever been excited for anything about this team.
And talk about Chaim Bloom as we hit the top of the fifth here, the draft. His fingerprints were all over the draft. When you look at, the Cardinals draft the last several years, Randy Flores gets a lot of praise for the drafts he puts together, but you could tell this was a very different draft for the Cardinals with the types of players they took, college pitchers with strikeout potential instead of contact guys, or you and I are both going, they're going to take a middle infielder because they always seem to take a shortstop, high school shortstop at that, or even who's the best bat available. But when you look at the first top 5 picks, mostly college guys, that's one I'm really excited about. And we'll talk about Liam Doyle, who signed today here in a second. Tanner Franklin, the electric fastball, the high strikeout rate, a teammate of Doyle's over at the University of Tennessee, Go Vols, that I think could be a big impact piece in this bullpen, probably as fast as next year.
MLB ranked him the steal of the draft for a reason. Dude hits a 102. So I'm looking forward to that. And I liked the draft. I see a lot of potential. I see what they're trying to do is get that built back up to where we want. So we have that, like the Cardinals used to be, that pitching machine just over and over. We kept churning guys out that went through and just were there for the team and like really put through.
When you have pitching assets, especially high-level pitching assets, you can trade those for bats.
Yes.
Because the old baseball rule is you develop pitching and you trade for hitting. Well, they even had the pitching to trade for the hitting. So hopefully now you look at the young guys, Teen Kent, you don't know if he's ever going to stay healthy, but Michael McGreevy is ready to be an MLB pitcher, and yet this franchise still rolls out Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty. Gordon Graceffo has looked great in relief. I'd like to see him stretched out. Libby's finally coming to his own. Quinn Matthews is down in the minor leagues as well. There is some guys down there, some especially left-handed arms, that 2-3 years from now could be all front of the rotation type guys. However, what does that do now as we kind of head towards the second half preview? MLB.com today, looking at the stats, where St. Louis is a game and a half out of the final wild card spot, chasing San Diego. And then at the divisional round, 6.5 behind the Cubs. Milwaukee's ahead of them as well. Cubs are kind of playing gangbusters with baseball's new darling, PCA. But again, a game and a half out of a playoff spot as we kind of head in towards that first stretch of tomorrow. In your neck of the woods, Arizona, you going to any of the games?
I am going Friday and Sunday. Friday, my birthday week's next week, so I'm going Friday and Sunday. Friday is going to be our family day, so I'm taking my kid. Sunday, we're doing the day drinking day game, so we're going to have a great time with that.
When
I'm
you
looking
look at
forward
the
to it.
schedule, these 13 games between now and the trade deadline, which is actually have an off day on the 31st. You got 3 in the desert, all very winnable games. Then 3 more at Colorado. You should realistically come out of that first road trip 5-1 easily. Probably, but you are going to throw Fetty and Michaelis at that point, so who knows? And then coming from there, the homestand is the Padres, who is the team ahead of you right now in the wild card for 4. And then you finish with Miami. Those 13 games, there's no reason St. Louis should not be 10-3 coming out of those 13.
Yeah, you should have moved up into the number 1 playoff wild card spot at that point. You should be playing your hearts. You should be playing out of your mind right now and getting in the playoffs. You should show this front office that this is the team that you think we are. Get us in the playoffs. Get us some help.
Palante on Friday night. Sonny's going to throw Saturday. And then Sunday, Miles Michaelis.
Yep, that's why I'm going to drink right there.
You could have gone Libby there in that spot. That might have been the better choice, but you really want to throw Miles in Colorado.
Hey.
The MLB.com has Monday, Tuesday as to be determined. So who knows at that point. But yeah, this is your make or break week or 2-week stretch here. You have got to make up some games, and you're playing probably the bottom shelf of the National League right now. 10-3, or I would probably look at selling off some spots.
I think so. Yeah, I think this is the 2 weeks that decide it, like whether are they going to stay in the middle of the road? Are they going to be sellers, buyers? I think a couple years ago it was crazy to see the Cardinals as sellers, but I think you're very much right. If they come out of this road trip 3-10, you know what this team is, and I think,
or even 6-5, 8-5.
Yeah,
you're done. But it's got to be 10-3 or better, which is a tall task, especially with how inconsistent the hitting is. Herrera has kind of been the hitting star of the first half, but he's up and down with injuries. There was reports on Twitter, I think it was Katie Wu from The Atlantic who broke it. Ivan Herrera's playing left field down in Memphis during his rehab, just because they're trying to get an outfielder who can freaking stick.
it's the ongoing saga with this organization, continuing trying people in the outfield.
And it goes back to this franchise's inability to develop consistent outfield play. Throwing Herrera out there, 2 years ago, it was Contreras. Burley's a first baseman. The roster construction is just so terrible for a big league roster. Brendan Donovan, your all-star, once again, he should probably be a middle infielder, but they're trotting him out to left field because they can't figure it out. And the great hope, Lars Nootbaar, this franchise wants Lars Nootbaar to be a superstar so bad they can't help it. It was Bernie Nicholas who, in one of his columns or one of his socials, was talking about, is it time for the Cardinals to trade Lars Nootbaar? And we'll kind of hit on that once again next week. There's your teaser. However, yeah, it's probably time to move on from Newt.
I'm going to agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. They have been pushing him to be the guy. I don't think he's that guy. Just because his numbers reflect his hit tools could be like Ohtani's. That was a big thing this spring. They were talking about how he was up there with Ohtani and some of the numbers, and I was like, "What are you talking about? You were apples and a bad apple. Like, how do you compare those two at all?" It's just baffling to me. I time and time again have get frustrated with this organization and their inability to develop an outfielder. All the way, we've talked before, all the way back, the Oscar Taveras thing just set this franchise back years.
It's been a generation now, practically.
It has.
They've been chasing that superstar because he was supposed to be that guy, and they haven't found it since.
Yep.
Quick talk and look as we go to our 7th inning stretch here. Just a quick note around the majors. If you saw in the news, the Tampa Bay Rays sold for 1.7 billion with a B, and they don't even have a home stadium right now due to some of the things going on in Florida, which brought up the topic of we talked about. The DeWitts bought the Cardinals in 1996 for roughly 250 million. What are the Cardinals worth? And if you were Bill DeWitt Jr., who seemingly has lost all interest in this franchise, in my opinion, letting Mo burn it to the ground, or his son, take your pick. What's your number to sell the franchise? And how quick can we raise the money on this podcast?
Yeah, let's find that out. I don't know if we can get raised $4.5 to $5 billion. I mean, you have to. The history behind this franchise, it's one of the big four in Major League Baseball. They're up there, worldwide recognition of this franchise. I think you're $4.5 to $5 billion in that ballpark. If the Rays go for that without a home ballpark, it's you with what would they have in the background. It has to be, and everything that's coming up. The 3 million fans a year, you have to be in the 4 to 5 billion range for that. What are you thinking?
So Forbes estimated the Cardinals at 2.5 billion.
Whoa!
The Yankees are the highest at 7.1 billion, and a lot of that has to do with the Yes Network, of course, and being in New York City, and of course the second one being the Dodgers at 5.2 million. So realistically, a sale of the Cardinals would somewhere come around the value of $2.5 billion. And that does not include Ballpark Village and all the things that with it.
There you go.
I assume the operation of that would be included in the deal, and that's probably worth another $500 million.
Yeah.
So I would probably put the value at probably around $3 billion, which when you invested for 200 or 250 million, $3 billion is not a bad return on your money.
I'm selling.
And they like to tell you, the DeWitt family, that baseball is not a profitable business. Then sell. And they, gaslit the fan base last year with, well, if you're not going to turn up, we're not going to spend any money. And we didn't turn up as fans, and they didn't spend any money.
I didn't turn up on MLB TV. I canceled it last year. I wasn't watching that team. Especially after you make those comments.
Right. Where you install your entire fan base completely. And we went to a point where, back when Mike Matheny was fired a week ago last Sunday in 2015 or 16 or 17, I believe, after they had missed the playoffs 2 straight years, even a 500 record is acceptable in some places, not in this franchise, to now being, at best, a mid-level franchise.
Middling, and middle of the road in every aspect. From your player development to now, you're wanting more money for an additional stadium now. Just middling.
It is an inferior product.
Yes.
As we get ready to close this thing out, let's head to the bottom of the 8th. One of our favorite topics is Blast from the Past. Stuff that we remember that hopefully a lot of you guys will too. Ty, go and give me your top 3 all-time utility players from the 2000s on.
Utility players 2000s and on.
Must have played at least 2 positions.
Ooh.
I'll start you off. Give me Craig Paquette. Early 2000s.
Was Joe McEwing one of them?
Late 90s.
Late 90s. Late 90s. Super Joe is late 90s. The super utility that keeps in my mind didn't even play for the Cardinals, but it was Mark Lemke.
He started at second base for the Braves for the World Series in the early 90s.
I have no idea, but that's other than the Oquendo, I always liked watching Mark Lemke because he raked in the World Series.
I mean, come on, you're a St. Louis fan. You should be obsessed with scrappy utility players.
I know, and I am just drawing a blank on every name in my head right now.
My second pick, I'll go ahead and take Eli Marrero.
This is such a good pick.
I got to go way back for the third one. Your favorite Sunday Night Baseball commentator and MLB Network
Get
host,
out of here.
Eduardo Perez.
How do you no, get him out of here. No, thank you. No. No, I'm not going to go into that detail with that one.
Dude was a pinch hitting
Placido
specialist.
Polanco. There's a utility guy, Placido Polanco. That's
there
a
you
number
go.
one overall draft pick right there.
Former NLCS MVP.
That's the only name that came to my mind right now. I am just drawing a blank tonight.
Wait till we hit random closers next week.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. I can do that.
And finally, bottom of the ninth to close it out. Next week at this time, we're going to hit our trade deadline preview. Why don't you go ahead and give our listeners, our watchers, a little taste of what's coming?
We're not going to trade Ryan Helsley. We're going to keep him because that bullpen needs him, but we're going to trade other assets that I think could get us return on investment, set us up for the future.
Give us a teaser, Tyrell. What position is this asset play?
Starting pitcher.
Oh. You'll have to tune in this time next week, folks, to find out. Hopefully there's sunny days ahead. For Mauck'n, I'm Mitch'n, and this has been the Mitch'n and Mauck'n podcast. Tune in to wherever you listen to podcasts, and we will see you next week.
See ya.